Have we reached the apocalyptic scenario with antibiotics? A recent headline from MSN News reports, Tom Frieden made headlines last year when he proclaimed that the USA would soon be in a post-antibiotic era. He predicted a plague by everyday infections that our drugs could no longer handle. According to the article, that age is already on our doorstep. New York Times recently reported that superbugs are spreading around the globe at alarming rates. They're now in the USA. Partly because of overuse of antibiotics on farms and in hospitals. The problem isn't just the bacteria, but it's the drugs that no longer control the bacteria. Doctors commonly treat bacterial infections with antibiotics. When one doesn't work, another is used. But now doctors are running into infections that are resistant to the strongest antibiotics. This bacteria has outsmarted us. Some recent statistics show that approximately 250,000 Americans died from bacterial infections last year. Infections did not respond to antibiotics that were administered. This nightmare bacteria kill up to half of the patients that are infected with it. These cases are becoming increasingly common across 42 states in the United States of America. Previously, antibiotically controlled diseases had developed antibiotic-resistant strains, including gonorrhea, which affects more than 100 million people a year. Tuberculosis has returned with a vengeance across several continents in recent years. The worst-case scenario would take humanity about a century back in terms of death from infections. Historically, 1 in 9 skin infections killed back in the day before we got a control on it with antibiotics. Routine surgeries in the early 1900s were considered super risky, leaving the patient vulnerable to infection. The Ebola virus made recent news, causing widespread panic across the globe. Are there more of these mentioned in Bible prophecy? Matthew chapter 24. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilences, and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Jesus predicted that during the Great Tribulation, there would be, among other things, earthquakes and pestilence. Pestilence is simply a contagious or infectious epidemic disease that is virulent and devastating. This reminds me of the pale rider of Revelation chapter 6. This pale rider brings death by war, famine, and disease. Jesus also warned his disciples about discerning the times. Jesus said, you can look at the sky and tell if a storm's coming. But he also then gave the signs that confirm the time of the tribulation. The tribulation can be likened to a woman in labor. The woman knows what stage her labor's in simply by the symptoms that increase until several different signs and indicators come to a peak. At the pinnacle of these birth pangs, the child's then delivered. The tribulation is seen as the earth travailing in labor, as all of the creation travails in labor. The convergence of signs today indicate the proximity of the deliverance. Never before in history have so many signs converged upon the creation in the world. There's global unrest, disease, earthquakes, wars, signs in the heavens. All these indicate the proximity of the second coming of Jesus Christ. The time of Jesus' return is nigh upon us. Are you ready